Day 8 of our coronavirus quarantine, and I am actually pretty excited about doing this recording today, maybe more than any that I've done so far, because it's a very serendipitous experience for me today, and I'll explain why in just a minute. But first of all, I want to ask you a question. What is the difference between grace and mercy? Now, we hear those words used an awful lot at church and among Christians in general and in our daily devotions or whatever it is. But I think we have some confusion about those two words because while they are equally important and very personal and very real and in some ways similar to each other, they are also extremely different from one another. So let's look at grace first. Grace is receiving something that you don't deserve. Grace is receiving something that you don't deserve. Mercy, on the other hand, is not receiving something you do deserve. Grace, receiving something you don't deserve. Mercy, not receiving something you do deserve. You can see why it's easy to get those two mixed up. But the ramifications of those two things, those two very special things, couldn't be more different. And that's why we are so focused in the Christian faith on the concept of grace, because grace is a gift not deserved. The word itself comes from the Greek word charis, which means gift. You know people who are gifted at public speaking and just their personalities are so exuberant and they make great actors and attorneys and politicians. We call them charismatic because they've been given a gift that is out of the ordinary. And that comes from that word, charis. It's a gift. So we celebrate gift today, the gift of grace. And the thing that I'm excited about is, well, first of all, I've received at least 4 requests for me to play the song, Wonderful Grace of Jesus. Now, I love that song. It's one of my very favorite, but it's not exactly a piano solo type piece. It's really in its element when there are a lot of people singing in 4-part harmony. And I remember my days at Johnson University, both as a student and as a professor there, that when our chapel, which was at the time adequate for the student body, everybody could fit in it. It seated about 450, I think, maybe 500 people. But when the chapel was packed with people and the organ was full blast and the piano was going and everybody was singing at the top of their lungs, Wonderful Grace of Jesus. Now that's when that song is truly incomparable. There's nothing like it. It's just an amazing song. But it just doesn't resonate as well at the piano. But it works, and I'm going to play it. But I was planning on what to say and how to focus, how to make it work in just a simple living room piano setting. And I was coming up with some ideas. In fact, I learned a few things about its creator, a man by the name of Haldor Lillinus. Now, if you are a church musician at all, or choir director, you've probably heard the word Lillinus as one of the major publishers at one point. I think it's still an important publisher. It's consolidated with other companies. But anyway, it was named after this man, Haldor Lillinus, who was born back in the late 1800s in Bergen, Norway. He immigrated to the United States. He wasn't a Christian when he came here. But at the age of 21, he became a Christian, got married. He and his wife moved to a little town in Illinois, and he became a Christian and became a pastor, and a struggling pastor. He wasn't making very much money, but he had a real gift as a songwriter and a poet, and he didn't have much money, but he was able to find what he called a wheezy old organ somewhere. I don't know if it was a thrift shop or what they had back in those days. But he, on that organ, created the song Wonderful Grace of Jesus. He penned the text and wrote a melody to go with it. And he submitted it for publication. He paid $5 for the organ, and he got the whopping total of $5 for the hymn. So when you hear it and sing it and experience it, remember it was a $5 hymn back in its origin. Well, I was all prepared to talk about him and play the song. And then lying in bed this morning, for some reason, I don't know where it came from. I suppose it was a charis, a gift from God in my memory, because a song that I haven't thought about in over 20 years, a song that both my mother and my mother-in-law used to sing when they were younger. And I had the privilege of playing for both of them in their singing of that. Now, to my knowledge, although they had a good relationship with each other, I don't know that they ever sang together on a song. Now, I'm sure in heaven now they've remedied that, but in life on earth experience, they never sang together. But they both sang the song, What Grace Is This? And so, Wonderful Grace of Jesus and What Grace Is This? They both are dealing with the very same subject, and they both are very special to me. So for those of you who requested that I play Wonderful Grace of Jesus, thank you so very much, because I probably never would have given a thought to the song that meant so much to me as a young guy, playing both for my mother and for my mother-in-law, this song, What Grace Is This, by the wonderful gospel composer John W. Peterson. Some of you may know that name from your days of antiquity. But it's a great song. It's kind of schmaltzy and kind of show-busy sounding, but the message of it is truly wonderful. So if you like either of those tunes, you, I hope, will be blessed. Now, one thing about the Lilliness piece, Wonderful Grace of Jesus, one of his cautions to people was, don't get so caught up in the energy and the funness of this song that you take it too quickly. That's the tendency. We want to rush Wonderful Grace of Jesus. He said, don't do that. Take it more slowly. I'm going to do a little bit of both. I'm going to start slow and eventually get a little faster. But I'll be playing What Grace Is This first, and then Wonderful Grace of Jesus. I hope it'll be a blessing to you today.